I shielded my husband from an arrow, sustaining internal injuries. After 4 years recuperating at the southern estate, I returned to the capital to find a woman had taken my place in our home. My son clung to her, my daughter adored her, and my mother-in-law held her in high regard. When my husband shared our bed, he accidentally called out her name. I couldn't bear it and threw a fit. They conspired to push me to my death, clearing the way for their perfect family harmony. For 20 years as a ghost, I witnessed their downfall. Now I've been reborn on the road back to my estate. I've returned. But I won't go home yet. I must visit the Empress Dowager in the palace. I declared. My name is Zhao Wenji, the orphaned daughter of the late Prince of Shu. I was 9 when my father died in battle. The Empress Dowager, pitying my loss, brought me to the palace to raise me. At 16, I was married. At 18, I gave birth to twins, a son and a daughter. My bond with my husband, Wei Su, was profound. When our children were 6, I accompanied Wei Su on a hunt. The third prince deliberately aimed an arrow at him. It seemed like a joke, yet carried the intent to strike fatally. I blocked that arrow. My internal organs shattered. My severe injury became an opportunity to play the victim before the Emperor and Empress Dowager, leading to the third prince's harsh punishment. My husband's family had pledged allegiance to the second prince. My injury fueled resentment toward the third prince among the emperor and my father's former followers, clearing obstacles from the second prince's path to succession. Wei Shu told me, "Ji, this wound won't heal easily. The third prince bears a grudge against us. Why not seize this chance to bring him down completely?" I always believed Wei Su and I were one, sharing both glory and disgrace. For the greater cause, I must recover far from the capital. 3 or 5 years of convalescence would give the court officials and the second prince grounds to attack the third prince. So I went to the southern estate. When the second prince was named heir apparent, Wei Su did not send for me immediately. A sense of foreboding settled over me. Only upon returning home did I discover my rightful place had long been usurped by another. Reborn. I first went to the palace to see the Empress Dowager. She was the only one in this world who had ever treated me with genuine kindness. "I am well now," I said. The Empress Dowager grasped my hand. "It is good you have returned. Come to the palace often to keep me company, so I need not worry." "I shall," I replied. Before departing, I quietly slipped off the gold bracelet from my wrist and placed it beneath the inkstone cushion. This was a keepsake from my birth mother. The Empress Dowager had personally placed it on my wrist. Knowing its profound importance to me, I returned to the Duke of Song's residence in the late afternoon. The sun slanted westward, its golden rays filtering through the treetops, casting dappled patches of light. My husband and children surrounded my mother-in-law, each wearing a look of mild surprise. Following behind them was a young woman dressed in a pale pink gown, gentle and charming. "Why has Aji returned today?" The steward did not inform us beforehand. My mother-in-law stepped forward and took my hand. I smiled. Returning home requires no formalities. "Mother, does it?" My mother-in-law gave an awkward smile. Wei Su stepped forward to inquire about my journey. The 10-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, approached to greet me. "Aji, you haven't met her yet. This is Lady Lan." I found her to be Song's needlework teacher. Noticing my gaze on the young woman in the lotus-pink robe, my mother-in-law introduced her. "Do Lan greets you, madam." Lady Lan stepped forward to curtsy, poised and graceful. She is my mother-in-law's distant niece, who came to live with us after her husband's death. Her embroidery and cooking are both exceptional. With these talents, she has won over our entire family. "Please rise." I smiled and gently helped her up. "Thank you for taking such good care of Song while I was away." "My daughter, Wei Song, immediately chimed in, "Mother, you have no idea how wonderful Aunt Lon is." I gently stroked her hair. Song, tell me all about it later. Unlike my previous life, I didn't return home only to notice everyone favoring Do Fong, my face darkening and ruining the atmosphere on my first night back. I chatted and laughed with them, staying for dinner. After the meal, my husband Wei Su was clearly restless. "I'm exhausted from the journey and wish to rest early. Might I trouble your lordship to spend the night in the outer study?" I offered. I knew Wei Su had already slept with Do Fong by now. Tonight, he wanted to appease her more than he wanted me. He was delighted to hear this. Ji. Rest well. I slept soundly that night. The next morning, I seized the moment and threw a tantrum. During breakfast, Do Fong was present as usual, standing beside my mother-in-law to serve dishes. After the meal, the gatekeeper announced an arrival. A palace matron had come. It was then that I smashed my bowl to the floor. Everyone stared at me in astonishment. My mother-in-law and Wei Su both furrowed their brows slightly, utterly perplexed. "I am the Duchess. If you intend to take a concubine for the Duke, why wasn't I consulted? If I hold no place in your eyes as your daughter-in-law, then hand me the divorce papers and tell me never to return," I declared loudly. Everyone stared at me in shock. My children were visibly embarrassed. My son, Wei Chang, acted like a little adult. "Mother, smashing a bowl in front of the Duke and the Grand Duchess, what manner is that?" My daughter looked utterly incredulous. "Mother, have you been listening to gossip? You've misunderstood Aunt Lon." My mother-in-law's face turned pale with anger. Ji, you're being too spoiled. Is this how the Empress Dowager taught you?" Only my husband, Wei Su, was perceptive. He approached me, speaking softly. Ji, are you having trouble adjusting home? Not sleeping well? Breaking a bowl by accident is no big deal." He signaled to the servants. Simultaneously, he signaled to my mother-in-law and Do Fong. Yet they weren't as sharp as they seemed. "When did I ever mention taking a concubine?" I asked. Everyone froze slightly. They were trying to hide something obvious. Everyone knew about Wei Su and Do Feng's relationship, including my children. When Lady Zhou, the Empress Dowager's attendant, entered, she witnessed the scene. My men were waiting at the gatehouse. The servant came to announce her, and they let Lady Zhou in directly. "What's going on?" Lady Zhou looked unsettled. "Princess, have you suffered some injustice?" Tears welled up in my eyes immediately. I hadn't known the household had changed its steward. Last night, my bedding got damp, and I tried to find someone to change it but couldn't. I didn't sleep all night. Then, at breakfast, my hands were weak, and I broke the bowls and dishes. The Duke and the Dowager suspected I was throwing a tantrum. "I'm truly innocent," I said. Nanny Zhou looked at everyone. My mother-in-law isn't foolish, she quickly grasped the situation. "It was a misunderstanding," she said with a forced smile. I shielded the Duke and went away to recover. With mother-in-law unwell, I understand needing someone to assist with household matters. But if you took a concubine, why didn't you tell me or announce it publicly? I returned home completely bewildered. Had I not seen the housekeeper's keys on her person, I would have mistakenly treated her as an outsider. I gained a reputation for jealousy, and others blamed the Empress Dowager for failing to guide me properly. "Nanny, it's all because of my incompetence," I said tearfully. Nanny Zhou's face turned pale. My mother-in-law, Do Fong, and Wei Su all looked extremely uncomfortable at that moment. Regardless of whether Do Fong was a concubine or not, they were caught between a rock and a hard place. I didn't continue the commotion. Instead, I went to the palace with Nanny Zhou. Still crying, Nanny Zhou brought me the gold bracelet early in the morning. The Empress Dowager knew I'd worry about losing the bracelet, so she sent it early to witness the scene for me. My words alone couldn't explain everything. I'd suffered enough from this in my past life. Especially Wei Su, a natural wordsmith, could twist truth into lies. Without the Empress Dowager's people to testify for me, all sorts of accusations were pinned on me. My reputation in the capital was soon ruined. My death would be met with universal relief, while Dou Fonlon would be hailed as virtuous and loyal, a perfect match for the Duke. Now, Wei Su must explain why. After his legitimate wife was injured and sent to recuperate, a new mistress appeared in his household managing the kitchen. Zhou Nanny and I went to the Empress Dowager's palace. She put her arm around my shoulder. She didn't say to me then, "Wei Su was your choice." And I never cared for him much. She only said, "If you've suffered wrongs, stay a few more days." A Zhao family daughter isn't one for the Wei household to trample upon. I recalled how the Empress Dowager had urged me to divorce him in my past life too. Back then, I refused. Divorcing him meant being cast aside by my husband and child. I couldn't bear that humiliation. I was determined to fight them to the bitter end. In the end, I paid with my life. The only one who wept for me was the Empress Dowager. In my past life, I never truly believed in her affection for me. She was a ruthless old woman, decisive in her actions. How much could she truly care for me? It was merely a performance to appease my father's former followers. For 20 years as a ghost, I often watched her. Whenever she spoke of me, she would always weep. Even a cat, kept long enough, develops emotional bonds, how much more so someone as obedient and beautiful as I was. The Empress Dowager truly cherished me. I petitioned for divorce. The dowry of Princess Huayang. Zhao Wenji, 108 palanquins. The Empress Dowager poured every precious thing she could into it for me. I demanded to take all my possessions. The Wei family naturally refused. My mother-in-law came to the palace weeping, insisting I was mistaken. Dou Fonlon was merely an orphaned girl seeking refuge, not a concubine. Besides, demanding divorce simply because a husband took a concubine would tarnish the princess's reputation. As the principal wife, one should proactively encourage her husband to take concubines to ensure the family's lineage. Using this reason for divorce was unjustifiable. Mother speaks wisely. I lowered my lashes and thought. Wei Su came to the palace to bring me home. The Wei family sent Dou Fonlon away. After my return, the household atmosphere grew oppressive. My mother-in-law even fell ill from grief. "Mother, grandmother has taken ill. Please prepare some dishes for her." My son Wei Chang told me. I don't know how. Aunt Lon always makes delicious food. Grandmother recovered quickly after eating her dishes. My son replied. Not just grandmother, when I was ill. Aunt Lon stayed by my bedside. What about you, mother? I smiled faintly, for your father's future. I framed the third prince for His Highness the Crown Prince, your father's master, and went to the estate willingly. Without the charge of wounding Princess Huayang and aggravating her old injury. How could your grandfather's former subordinates gradually distance themselves from the third prince and defect to the crown prince? My son froze. He was 10, educated for years, and knew some common sense. In my past life, I couldn't bear to expose my husband's lust for power before him. So I never told him this. My son always blamed me, saying I was jealous and intolerant. So what if Dou Fonlon became the second wife? In noble families, who doesn't have a harem? Compared to other princes and marquises, Wei Su was remarkably loyal and devoted. I couldn't expect him to remain faithful to just me. This lifetime, I no longer care about this son. His thoughts matter little to me now. I'll tell him everything plainly. Don't try to use the tiger's skin as your banner. He snapped after a moment's stunned silence. If you don't believe me, go to the estate and see for yourself. When your grandmother was ill, while your father was away handling official business. Was he not meeting secretly with your Aunt Lon? I said. The son turned and walked out. My daughter was also deeply distressed. She wasn't as forceful, but spoke to me with a sense of grievance. Mother, I promised to present the Empress Dowager with a double-sided embroidery for her 50th birthday. Without Aunt Lon, I wouldn't know how. Did she teach you? Or did she help you? I asked. Daughter, she taught me. I'll find someone else to teach you. I said. There are other masters of double-sided embroidery in this world. Doe Folon isn't the only one. But this piece I'm embroidering? Only Aunt Lon knows how to make it. It has to be one of a kind to please the Empress Dowager. My daughter insisted. You're my daughter. Even if you gave the Empress Dowager a scrap of cloth, she'd be pleased. But since you're not, even your divine craftsmanship won't impress Her Majesty. Are there no embroiderers in the palace? I said. My daughter cried out in anger. Mother, you can't speak so poorly of Aunt Lon. I chuckled. You didn't notice when she was praising herself. But when I speak fairly, it's suddenly disparaging her? My son is foolish. My daughter is naive, just like me in my past life. Our bond ends here. Let fate decide. I brushed my sleeves. After the divorce, I entrusted the steward to care for the children, leaving them modest funds to live on until adulthood, arranging their marriages. I fulfilled a mother's duty. They were my flesh and blood. Beyond that, I held no expectations. When I left home, the children were 6, old enough to understand. I had left people to look after them. When I returned, every servant attending them had been replaced. My mother-in-law had done it. My people had clashed with hers over interests. So naturally she couldn't tolerate them. The children's feelings toward me had changed too. But it didn't matter. I no longer clung stubbornly. If this was the fate of our bond, I wouldn't force it. I'm waiting for a reasonable opportunity to part ways. I know this chance will come soon. Just like in my past life. On the first day of the 9th lunar month, I had been back at the Guogong mansion for 3 months. Early that morning, my mother-in-law announced she was going to the temple to pray. She didn't ask me or the children to accompany her. Only Wei Su to escort her. After they left, I gathered my son and daughter and said, I'll take you somewhere. My daughter was a little afraid of me. Her grandmother had said I was mad, consumed by jealousy to the point of insanity, and my daughter had believed it. Where are we going? My son asked, his tone sharp. To pay respects to the Buddha. I replied with a smile. Grandmother and father have just left. And you want to go? What are you up to? I'm not going. You're full of tricks, my son declared. My daughter hesitated. It's not just me going, Princess Anning is coming too. I want to introduce you to the young prince from her household. I heard you've been eager to learn spear techniques from him. She said. Princess Anning is my cousin. For years my senior. Her son is a youthful warrior. Under a master's guidance, he wields his spear with exceptional skill, even winning the martial arts championship. The champion likely lowered his standards to boost the young prince's reputation. My son has always wanted to befriend the young marquis. But since I'm not home, Princess Anning's household rarely acknowledges him. Song, would you like to meet Princess Anning? She's deeply favored by the Empress Dowager. I said. My daughter softened. After a moment's hesitation, my son nodded too. After meeting Princess Anning, we boarded her exceptionally spacious 8-horse carriage. My son met the young duke he admired and was overjoyed. But the carriage turned off the road and headed toward a country estate. Princess Anning asked me, Huayang, where are we going? There's an estate belonging to our family nearby. We're just passing by. I have some business to attend to. I replied with a smile. Princess Anning glanced at me. What business? I smiled and snuggled close to her. Sister, Show me some affection. Princess Anning affectionately stroked my hair. The children are grown. Yet you still act like a child. My daughter watched our closeness with a hint of envy. My son looked at me, almost disbelieving. He likely thought I held no standing in the imperial court anymore. These words were what Wei Su had told him, and what Do Fenglan had said. The carriage arrived at the estate. Our group disembarked and entered a courtyard directly. Knocking on the door, we saw a beautiful woman with a slightly rounded belly. My mother-in-law was holding her hand and speaking to her, while Wei Su supported her from the side. At this scene, everyone except me was stunned. Of course, I feigned surprise too. Stepping forward, Mother. Duke. What is going on? I reached out to touch Do Fenglan's belly. Wei Su instinctively blocked my hand. I stumbled backward and fell to the ground. I gasped as the shards of porcelain hidden in my sleeve fell into my palm, piercing my hand. Princess Anning hurried to help me up. Dukin, how dare you, in my presence, abuse your legitimate wife? Do you have any regard for His Majesty or Her Imperial Majesty the Empress Dowager? Unable to bear it, I rushed out. Princess Anning pursued me, while her son blocked Wei Su, who tried to follow. In the carriage, blood dripped from my hand. The shards had embedded in my flesh. With a sudden resolve, I pulled them out, and blood gushed forth. I've helped you this time. You owe me a favor, Princess Anning said. Sister, I will never forget your great kindness, I replied. Anning, by divorcing him, you've actually lost. If I were you, I'd fight them to the bitter end and see who wears whom down first. You're too weak. I smiled bitterly. Any normal woman would think that way. If you betray me, I'll tear you apart. But I truly died once. I'd rather live. I don't want the Empress Dowager, the only one who truly cared for me, to tear up when she speaks of me, blaming herself for not stopping my marriage to that scoundrel. She was so resolute her entire life. My existence was her only failure. My death brought pain to those who loved me and joy to my enemies. In my past life, after I stormed back to the estate, the Wei family sent Do Fenglan away. I knew she was at the estate. I knew she deliberately had someone inform me of her pregnancy. On the first day of the 9th lunar month, Wei Su used the excuse of accompanying the Grand Lady to burn incense. But in truth, mother and son went to visit Do Fenglan. I knew this too. I secretly followed them. Seeing Do Fenglan's pregnant belly, I was consumed by rage. I wanted to drag this adulterous pair before the Empress Dowager. In her panic, my mother-in-law feigned a fall. A porcelain shard on the ground cut her hand. Wei Su accused me of deliberately injuring her. In our dynasty, a daughter-in-law who harms her mother-in-law faces punishment. Wei Su and my mother-in-law went to see the Empress Dowager, offering to suppress the matter if I would only stop my agitation. The Empress Dowager once again ordered our divorce. I still refused, determined to fight them. Back then, my rage was utterly uncontrollable. I wanted to tear them all apart. But remember, anger clouds judgment. You can never win that way. This lifetime, I had Princess Anning set the trap for me, letting my children see the truth. I borrowed the Dowager's tactics. For a mistress, he beat his legitimate wife. He crippled her hand. These past days, the censorate has been flooded with petitions denouncing Wei Su. In my past life, Do Fenglan was born outside the marriage and later adopted as a foster son. Do Fenglan was never a concubine, nor an extramarital mistress. After my death, Wei Su married her, yet our dynasty's laws state, a concubine cannot replace a wife, nor can an extramarital mistress become the legitimate spouse. Otherwise, Wei Su would face imprisonment. Wei Su and my mother-in-law refused to make Do Fenglan a concubine not for my sake, but for hers. I should have understood from the start that these people weren't worth fighting. After 2 months of impeachment by the censorate, the emperor grew weary and sought my opinion. By then, I had already moved out of the duke's residence and returned to the old Shu prince's mansion. My family's mansion remained intact, tended by a few elderly servants. Wei Su was also pleading with me. He was dashing and exceptionally handsome. I had taken a liking to him at first sight. Now, he had grown noticeably thinner, his cheekbones protruding, his frame gaunt and rugged. "Gee, please stop this," he pleaded. "I'll let Lanner become your concubine. I'll hand over her indenture contract to you. Is that acceptable? We are family. Is this your way of apologizing?" I replied coolly. "Whether she becomes a concubine or bears your bastard son, what does any of that concern me? What exactly do you want? A divorce? Of course. I'll take all my dowry with me," I declared. "What about the children? Chang'er and Song Song are turning 10, it's time to arrange their marriages." "Who would dare marry them off to such a family after your antics?" Wei Su retorted. "Wei Su, you're quite the smooth talker. You're the one who took a mistress. The one who hurt me. Did you consider the children's futures when you slept with Do Folon? Did I force you into her bed?" I asked him. "Wei Su, that's just sophistry. A man having multiple wives and concubines. I never forbade you from taking concubines. As the head of the Duke's household, taking a concubine requires not only your consent but also mine. Correct? Did you inform me beforehand?" I asked. "What exactly are you trying to stir up now?" he demanded, fuming. "Mother has fallen ill. She gave birth to a worthless son like you, no wonder she's sick," I retorted. "Don't you dare speak disrespectfully of my mother," he roared. "Bringing up your mother again? When have I ever disrespected her? I'm cursing you, Wei Su," I snapped. Wei Su and I parted on bitter terms. Everyone from the Wei family came looking for me. My mother-in-law came, but I silenced her with just a few questions. "Why did you give Do Folon the housekeeper's keys? Why did you help her bribe my children?" My own children came to confront me. So I put on my motherly authority. "If you won't stand by me, you're unfilial. I might as well cut ties with you." The last to come was Do Folon. Her belly had shrunk. "Madam, I've miscarried. It's all this servant's fault. I was reckless and knew no bounds. Please forgive the Duke. I'll return to my hometown and never show my face before you again," she cried. I watched Do Folon quietly. Her oval face and almond eyes gave her an innocent, simple look, yet she was a master at manipulating hearts, possessed an iron will, and had clear ambitions. She was determined to become the mistress of the Duke's mansion. In my past life, I later learned that she and Wei Su had shared childhood affection. My mother-in-law disdained her family's decline, forcing my cousin to marry Do Folon far away. A thorn grew in Wei Su's heart. It wasn't that he disliked me. Spoiled by the Empress Dowager, I was courted by many sons of distinguished families. My gentle, innocent nature made me irresistible. Who wouldn't covet such a beauty? Wei Su did harbor some affection for me. Yet while he showered me with passion, his thoughts lingered on Do Folon. Because of Do Folon, he resented my mother-in-law, straining their relationship during that period. How laughable that I, newlywed, had tried to mend their relationship. Do Folon had lost her husband and was now a widow. Upon hearing this, Wei Su rejoiced and pleaded with his mother to bring her back to the capital. I was the one left wounded. Wei Su, killing two birds with one stone, persuaded me to recuperate in the south. After I left the capital, my mother-in-law, desperate to win back her son's affection, used the excuse of finding a needlework teacher for her granddaughter to bring Do Folon into the mansion. Do Folon had endured a miserable life in her late husband's household, tasting the bitterness of powerlessness and influence. She returned with one purpose, to remarry Wei Su. Not as a concubine. Not as a mistress. For now. As a temporary measure. She must first abort this child. Even if it severely damages her health, potentially leaving her barren forever. She would pay that price without hesitation. Had I possessed even half her ruthlessness, I might not have been murdered. Miss Doe, I said. I cannot forgive Wei Su. Doe Folon lifted her pale, small face. Madam, this servant deserves death. I kowtow to you. Even if you kowtow until your head bleeds, you won't earn sympathy. This is my family's mansion, filled with my people. Even if you die here, no one will pity you. I said coldly. Doe Folon bit her lip. Madam, what do you wish of me? If it can undo this, I'll do anything. Can you turn back time? I asked her. Madam, time cannot be altered. Any reparation is meaningless. I took the wrong path, now I only wish to return to the right one. If you bear my child, won't Wei Su bear a grudge against me forever? Returning now would make my entire family my enemies. Living among enemies, I'd die without recourse. Miss Doe, do you think me so foolish? Your actions are merely a strategic retreat to make Wei Su and the Dowager Empress pity you more. I said. Doe Folon's cheek twitched slightly. So your suffering has been in vain. I won't change my mind. I will insist on the divorce. I declared. Then I added. How heartless, you're willing to kill your own child. Look at my two. They're both foolish and venomous. Yet I never considered abandoning them. Doe Folon clenched her fists tightly. I continued, your little act has run its course. Go peddle the rest of your pitiful performance to Wei Su and the Dowager. Don't waste your breath on me. I summoned 2 rough maidservants to escort her back to the Duke of Song's residence with utmost care, ensuring she suffered no bumps or bruises. Simultaneously, I dispatched agents to hire storytellers in tea houses. Under pseudonyms, they would recount the love-hate saga of Wei Su and Doe Folon, and within this tale, the pitiful, innocent first wife, this Princess Huayang, myself, the Duke of Song, became infamous. Everyone cursed Wei Su as a faithless, heartless scoundrel. People spoke of how I shielded him from an arrow. Suffering severe injuries that took 4 years to heal, they praised my father's loyalty and valor, my own beauty and innocence, and my lavish dowry. After months of this uproar, Wei Su couldn't bear it anymore. He divorced me and returned all my dowry. The children cannot go with you, he said. I smiled faintly. 2 unfilial children, they're all yours. Without love, I felt light as air. I cared nothing for those who didn't love me. I had to protect my life. Every skill a noble lady should master, I had mastered. Managing assets is the most fundamental. My dowry was immense. The royal estate held some old holdings, and during my 4 years in Jiangnan, I secretly engaged in trade, with good fortune. I made profits. In my solitude, I became rich beyond measure. Rare antiques and paintings? I gave them to my cousin, Princess Anning. As if money meant nothing to me, Princess Anning often invited me to her palace and constantly praised me. The aristocratic families of the capital, ever eager to curry favor with the powerful, saw how the Empress Dowager and the princess favored me. They began sending invitations in droves, beckoning me to their banquets. I would attend. After our divorce, Wei Su did not marry Doe Folon. In my past life, sacrificing me allowed him to seize all my dowry. The Songwood Duke's mansion prospered smoothly, and Wei Su and Doe Folon enjoyed several years of good fortune. This lifetime, Wei Su had much to consider. Their affair had been exposed, leaving Doe Folon's reputation in tatters. Even if she became the Duke's wife, other noble families would shun her. Not only would the Dowager lady never consent, but Wei Su himself was unwilling. He was utterly selfish. Without the certainty of victory, Do Folon lost the grace and composure she possessed in the past life. She began revealing greed and impatience. Wei Su detested worldly women most of all, and this only deepened his dislike for her. They grew to loathe each other. The Duke of Song's residence was filled with discord and tension. I had no time to concern myself with them. I frequently went to the palace to keep the Empress Dowager company. Consort Wang would occasionally bring her young prince to sit with the Dowager. I treated everyone with cold indifference, yet showed particular warmth toward the 8th prince. He was 13 this year. I offered him pastries and inquired about his studies. Because I favored him, the Empress Dowager also grew more gracious toward mother and son. "Is it Chanlor you miss?" the Empress Dowager asked me. She believed I valued the 8th prince so highly because he was close in age to my son, Wei Cheng. I shook my head. No. Chanlor bears a striking resemblance to Wei Su, cold and arrogant. My maternal bond with him ended the day we divorced. I merely find the 8th prince bright, sturdy, and exceptionally well-featured. The Empress Dowager paused, slightly startled. For the first time, she issued a stern warning, Huayang. Be cautious in your words and actions within the palace. You must not involve yourself in the prince's disputes. Your Majesty, I have done nothing improper, nor need you show him special favor. I merely use missing my son as a pretext to grow closer to him. I said. I knew that in a few more years, the crown prince would be deposed, the 3rd prince, who had long vied for the succession, would die of illness. Among the adult princes, the others showed little promise, clearly unfit to be emperor. Having been a ghost for 20 years, I knew the major events unfolding in the capital 2 decades hence, the 8th prince would be the future heir. I treated them kindly, neither seeking gain nor pledging allegiance, merely cultivating a tenuous bond of affection. Time passed swiftly, and the political landscape shifted dramatically. 4 years later, the crown prince was indeed deposed, entangled in factional strife as the aristocratic clans sought his downfall. The 3rd prince also passed away as predicted. At 17, the 8th prince was proclaimed heir apparent. The empress's position remained vacant for a long time. When Consort Wang's father and brother distinguished themselves in battle, she was elevated to empress. Having witnessed the fickleness of court politics, Empress Wang disdained all noble ladies except me. She never forgot the kindness I showed her and her son during our humble days. She possessed ambitions akin to an Empress Dowager, yet a thread of tenderness lingered in her heart. My status rose steadily. The emperor even considered granting me another marriage, hinting that if I remarried and bore an heir, that child could inherit the title of Prince of Shu and be enfeoffed as a regional prince. I went to plead with the emperor, using my late father as a shield to refuse the arranged marriage. It was then that my ungrateful son, Wei Cheng, came to find me. "Mother, this is the invitation. I'm betrothed next month," he said. According to the 6 rites of marriage, the groom's family hosts a banquet for close relatives during the betrothal. I examined the invitation and replied indifferently, "I'm not sure if I'll be available." I had no intention of attending. I never once considered returning to the Song Duke's mansion in this lifetime. Wei Cheng's expression shifted slightly. "Mother, so many years have passed. Can you still not forgive us? We never harmed you." I looked at him. After the divorce, I focused on living well in this life, earning money, building connections, honoring the Empress Dowager. I rarely looked back, until Wei Cheng's words reminded me of my tragic death in my past life. Coincidentally, I died on this very day in my past life. It was precisely the day Wei Cheng came to see me. I recalled my tragic death, every detail vividly etched in my mind. In my past life, one misstep led to another, culminating in my death on the first day of the 9th month in the 32nd year of Yongcheng. That day mirrored this one, the autumn sun shone brilliantly. The azure sky was cloudless and clear, and the air carried a faint floral fragrance. I died in Huining Tower of the Duke of Song's residence. After returning to the capital in my past life, I discovered the secret affair between Wei Su and Do Fenglan, my rage reaching its peak. From that moment on, fury consumed me. I stormed the Duke's residence and drove Do Fenglan away. Wei Su confronted me. Do you know she is Song's teacher? You cannot even tolerate the child's mentor. Is she a mentor? I retorted to Wei Su. Wei Su, I won't argue with you. You are the esteemed princess of Huayang, backed by the Empress Dowager. He felt I was too overbearing. After Do Fenglan left, my daughter Song was devastated. She cried in secret several times, longing for Do Fenglan's return. My son Wei Chang, however, was furious. He adored Do Fenglan's crystal pork hocks, no one else's could compare. My mother-in-law secretly visited the pregnant Do Fenglan. I followed her and was accused by Wei Su of assaulting my mother-in-law. Even the Empress Dowager had to intervene to appease the Wei family and protect me. I returned to the Duke's residence. Wei Chang learned Do Fenglan was resting at the estate to nurture her pregnancy and specially procured fine medicinal herbs to visit her. He dined there. Seeing his sister distressed, he even brought Song along. I soon uncovered their betrayal and summoned them both. Chang'er, kneel before me. Wei Chang dismissed it. Princess Huayang truly commands great authority. He mimics his father, constantly trying to intimidate me with his authority. My daughter, softer-hearted, knelt down with a thud. Mother, it's all my fault. Please don't be angry with brother. I'll never visit Aunt Lan again. Wei Chang, though young, had already adopted Wei Su's mannerisms. From now on, our entire family is your servants. Princess Huayang, furious. I trembled all over and hurled a vase at him. My rage was so intense that I coughed incessantly that night, coughing up a mouthful of blood. The two children grew even more distant from me. They told others I had gone mad. The Empress Dowager summoned me to inquire about the situation, urging me to seek a divorce. I refused. I was determined to fight them to the end. My son, Wei Chang, once shoved me. He treated Do Fenglan like his own mother and was dutifully filial to his grandmother. Every time he saw me, he would sneer and mock me. My daughter feared me. She gradually distanced herself from me. The year after our return to the capital, Do Fenglan gave birth. The child was left at the estate to be raised, and she returned to the Duke of Anhua's residence. She always acted as she does now, delicately and provocatively. I couldn't bear it and punished her, but Wei Su pitied her even more. Both my son and daughter blamed me. Everyone outside said I had gone mad. The Wei family didn't lock me up, they just pushed me bit by bit. My most trusted steward mother died, a gruesome death right before my eyes. A little dog I raised had its skull crushed by a flying rock. I went mad, demanding to settle accounts with the entire household. I couldn't eat or sleep. My nerves stretched taut. Moving to Huining Tower for quiet recuperation was my own decision. Mother! Mother! Come out quickly! There's a fire! My son shouted from outside. Thick smoke billowed. I hurriedly pushed open the door to find Wei Chang standing there. I didn't know where the fire started. I grabbed him. Hurry! Chang'er! You must leave. But he shoved me away. As I tumbled down the stairs, I heard him say, I'm about to arrange a marriage. With a mother this mad, I'll never find a good girl. Mother, do something good for your son. The stairs were so high. I fell. Huining Tower burned to the ground. I was burned to death at the stairwell entrance. The Empress Dowager was furious. Yet Wei Chang brought his sister to the palace and told the Dowager, Huining Lu was where mother chose to live. She'd been mad for years. Your Majesty. She tormented not only herself but me too. He rolled up his sleeves. revealing arms covered in scars. Those wounds he inflicted himself to frame me. My daughter only knew how to cry. She is just like me, foolish, naive, and helpless. Tears streamed down the Empress Dowager's face. The Wei family has always portrayed me as mad. A madwoman setting herself ablaze ended the Wei family's suffering. Everyone pitted the Duke of Song's household, saying he had finally endured enough and was freed from the torment of that madwoman. And my son's testimony became the most lethal weapon against me. Why does he hate me so? When I left home, he was just 6. Barely a year into his education. At the start of his studies, my daughter Wei Song showed precocious brilliance. Grasping everything instantly, my son, however, was playful and unfocused. I admit I was stricter with him. Did he harbor resentment over this? Going so far as to frame me for outsiders, drive me mad, and even aid the Wei family in killing me? Now he stands before me, on the very same day, month, and year, no longer setting fires to consume me, but declaring, "We never harmed you." Had I retreated but a step later, I would still be covered in wounds. They haven't changed one bit. It was I who transformed myself and saved myself. In my years as a ghost, I tried to seek revenge, only to discover that a ghost is lighter than a gust of wind, powerless to do anything. I could only watch from the sidelines. A year after my death, Wei Su married Dou Fonlan. Dou Fonlan soon became pregnant again, giving birth to twins, a boy and a girl. My son Wei Chang's marriage was fraught with twists and turns. Delayed until he was 20. The bride's family was quite ordinary, because Dou Fonlan refused to provide a sufficient dowry. Yet she told Wei Chang, "Your mother's reputation is too tarnished, that's why this happened." Then, for Wei Su's future, she married my daughter off to the son of an official who could benefit him, utterly unconcerned that the man was a profligate. Dou Fonlan and Wei Su enjoyed several good years together. She even took the initiative to provide Wei Su with 4 concubines, proving far more dutiful than I ever was. Yet Wei Su set his sights on a new woman. He even reminisced about my beauty, declaring that no maiden in the entire capital could compare to the celestial grace of the former Princess Huayang. Dou Fonlan was so enraged she spat blood. Her relationship with the Grand Duchess also deteriorated. My dowry was squandered. When my son demanded money from Wei Su, and Dou Fonlan claimed there was none, they nearly came to blows. Later, Wei Su, trying to please everyone, offended powerful figures, Dou Fonlan, not skilled in social circles, unwittingly incurred enmity. The Duke of N's estate was stripped of its title. Wei Chang returned to his hometown to till a few acres of poor land. Transformed from the heir to the Duke's estate into a farmer, my daughter endured endless torment and humiliation from her in-laws, lost both her children to infancy, and died of illness before she turned 30. On the eve of her death, she crawled to my grave, clutched the tombstone, and cried out, "Mother," over and over. I finally understood you. Mother. Mother. Her youthful ignorance in aiding Dou Fonlan against me had shattered my heart. Her blood-curdling cries of "Mother" tore my soul apart. Recalling that scene still chokes me with agony. In these 4 years of rebirth, I made arrangements, placing 2 trustworthy matrons by her side, hoping this lifetime I could find her a dependable family. This is all I can do for her. I won't beg for her love, especially now that she favors Dou Fonlan more than ever, but I won't force myself to stop loving her either. She is my child. She has already repented for her past life. I forgive her. In the 33rd year of Yongchang, my daughter Wei Song became betrothed. The groom-to-be bore the surname Wang, a nephew of Her Majesty the Empress. Wang Xiliang stood tall and rugged, skilled in martial arts. He was somewhat taciturn, not gifted with words. Dou Fonlan saw him and frowned slightly. This man, isn't he unsuitable? Yet in this life, she was not the Duchess. She was merely Wei Su's concubine. Wei Su had taken a new wife, far more willful and fierce than I. That new wife berated Do Fulan, "You pig-brained slut. The Empress Dowager's nephew, who are you to be so picky? If word of this gets out, our entire clan will suffer." My daughter, Wei Song, met Wang Xiliang once and didn't care for him either. She remained close to Do Fulan, learning embroidery from her, and confided, "He looks so fierce. Do Fulan, I don't think much of him." The stewardess attending my daughter was someone I had placed there. She relayed the overheard conversation to the dowager. Wei Su, the Grand Duchess, and the Duchess of the State all wanted to secure the Wang family alliance. They severely reprimanded Do Fulan, forbidding her from seeing my daughter again. My daughter married with trepidation. Unexpectedly, the seemingly rough-hewn Wang Xiliang cherished his wife to the core. He noticed even the smallest details. Wei Song was very happy. Her in-laws weren't particularly warm-hearted, but they were shrewd and worldly wise. And because she was my daughter, they treated Wei Song with extreme courtesy and respect. With Wang Xiliang's affection and encouragement at home, and her in-laws' flattery outside, Wei Song's social engagements gradually increased. She would also come to visit me. Each time I saw her, I would only casually have someone bring her some gifts, never inviting her to stay for a meal. She still returned to the Duke of An's residence to visit Do Fulan. But having seen the wider world, she now found Do Fulan utterly off-kilter in every way. Later, when someone tried to seduce Wang Xiling, only to be harshly rebuffed by him and then expelled by his in-laws, my daughter suddenly realized this woman's behavior mirrored Do Fulan's exactly. When she came to see me, she was pregnant and had made a pouch for me. "Mother, were you ever wronged?" she asked me. I said nothing then, but tears stubbornly rolled down my cheeks. "Nothing," I said, turning my face away from her. "You risked your life for father, then left your homeland for his future. Separated from your own flesh and blood. And in the end," she broke down, weeping herself. "The estrangement of husband and wife, the separation of mother and child, each was a knife stabbing at my heart." I hurried away and returned to my bedroom. Tears poured forth, and I wept until I could hardly breathe. My foolish daughter, I truly hated her for coming to provoke my tears at such a time. From that day on, my daughter Wei Song never saw Do Fulan again. When Do Fulan sought her out, she had someone deliver 1,000 taels of silver, calling it a token of gratitude for teaching her embroidery. From that day on, she severed all ties with Do Fulan. 2 more years passed, and Wei Su's new bride divorced him as well. This new bride and her family, seeking favor with me and Empress Wang, spread slander about Wei Su everywhere. Wei Su was imprisoned for corruption in official circles. My son Wei Chang's marriage plans were twice thwarted by Do Fulan's meddling. After Wei Su's divorce and imprisonment, no respectable family would consider marrying their daughter to Wei Chang. Wei Chang pleaded with me once more. I publicly declared, "I have no such son. He is Wei Su's child." He seethed with rage, storming to the Shu Prince's residence to curse me as a heartless monster who had destroyed his own son's future. "Why did you even give birth to me?" he roared at me. I asked myself the same question, why had I brought him into this world? "I'll die. And it's all your fault. You drove your own son to his death." He threatened me again. I personally tossed him a knife. Neza carved out his own bones to repay his father, cut his flesh to repay his mother. "If you have a shred of blood in you, die at my doorstep," I shouted at him. Wei Chang froze. Then he fled in a panic. Had he truly slashed himself, I might have forgiven him, for he too was my son. At 20, Wei Chang finally married a concubine's daughter from a minor imperial official's household. Not the woman he wed in his past life. The Grand Duchess of Song passed away, and Wei Su died in prison. Do Fulan, Destitute and broken, planned to return home but perished en route. Her innkeepers wrapped her bones in tattered mats and discarded them in a graveyard. My son Wei Chang had nothing left. Like in his previous life, he went to the village to farm the land. "Mother, can I help my brother?" my daughter would ask me. Farming isn't begging. He still has a few acres of land, while others have nothing. Why should we support him? I would say. Though I spoke thus, my daughter's heart softened, and she'd secretly slip her sister-in-law some silver. With his sister's aid, Wei Chang bought more fields. Knowing he'd reached the end of his path, he settled into honest toil, face to the yellow earth, back to the sky. I next saw him when I was 48. My daughter was giving birth to her third child, and Wei Chang came for the full moon feast. 30-year-old Wei Chang was sun-darkened, appearing simple and honest, as if reborn. I nearly didn't recognize him. Seeing me, he called out, "Mother." I didn't respond. "Last time Amon had a fever. My sister said it was the fever-reducing medicine you found." "Thank you, Mother," he told me earnestly. Amon is his daughter. Becoming a father seemed to have given him insight into parental love. He didn't seem to hate me much anymore. "Amon is a good child," I replied. "She's a bit slow. Teaching her 2 words is harder than digging 3 acres of land." I got so angry I spoke harshly, and she held a grudge against me for quite some time. "Just like how I resented you for years when you taught me to write," he said. My eyes, stubbornly uncooperative, began to well up. "Wei Chang, we no longer share a mother-son bond. There's no need for this," I said. He nodded. "Mother, would you like a man to come stay with you for a few days?" he asked. "You could teach her for me." I knew he had no ulterior motives in this moment. Only a desire to mend our relationship. Otherwise, he would have sent his son, not his daughter. He has 2 sons. No need. I declined. I live alone in this vast royal mansion, lacking neither power nor wealth. I relish solitude and savor life itself. Wei Song, having finished her confinement, had gained weight, radiating prosperity. She approached and spoke with Wei Chang and me. A gentle breeze swept beneath the eaves as the 3 of us stood there. I carried them for 10 months, giving birth to these 2 children. They separated from my flesh and blood, once ignorantly seeking to drain my nourishment, nearly killing me. Now grown, each has their own family. Standing here, we resemble 3 unrelated trees. Nothing more than 3 unrelated trees. The end.